This is where everything clicked because everything that I've done in the past, which we didn't understand why, but it works. Now we have quantum physics that explain what's happening with energy.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hey, welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful to be with you today. I have a phenomenal new guest. We have having laughs and a lot of fun. If we just connected before the show. If you're wondering what the heck, what is true happiness? Is it scrolling on Instagram for hours? Because it is pretty fun, even though they tell me it's bad for me, right? Or is it like, no, I'm going to get really hard. It's time to get hard, like Goggins says, or something. That's happiness. I'm happier than anybody. Goggins will tell you, right? I'm not going to make him wrong. I mean, that's what he says, right? So, what is it? I mean, or is it divine dial? We just got to be in a monastery type of vibe more in our lives, or what is happiness? How do we? What does the quantum physics have to say about it too? Like, how does that inform how we look at how we're doing our lives and entering the happiness or misery or fulfillment or not, right? And all that good stuff. Man, we're going to get into it today. It's going to be fascinating. So, Philippe, I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we'll have a lot of fun today on that subject.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's the first one of the images I get because sometimes I feel I need a little bit more. I very much can be like the wispy type, like we're all one with the one and everything. Like I can be that person, but at the same time, I know like that isn't my truest signature because like when I'm like that, that's why I'm spiritual rock star.
Yeah,
If I'm
yeah.
more like that, like a lot of ways I'm not fulfilled. Everything's lighter and like, oh, there's high vibrations and I feel peace and until like you look at certain aspects of your life more deeply and it's like, holy God, I'm dissatisfied with this. I think a lot of spiritual people are that way. They say they're happy and everything, but if you get deeper in their private life, they're like, yeah, but I want more money. And why don't I have a better partner? Or this or that. And they're dissatisfied, right? They're not as happy as maybe they act sometimes. I'm generalizing, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
like they might be like, oh yeah, everything's good. I'm high vibing. And, so honestly, like it's an interesting subject, the idea of unpacking this, right? Like the idea of what is happiness. So I think it's really cool that, this is the topic and the whole idea you're not broken, and that, that there is the possibility of realizing maybe happiness already exists inside of us, that whole idea. So where do we even begin with all this, Philippe? And what got you into all this in the first place,
Where
ultimately?
does it started? So, for example, if I keep a short story, so at 8 years old, I was called the smiling one, always happy and lighthearted. And
Mhm.
9 years old, I started my spiritual classes because my parents had their own for adults, so they were putting me the one for kids.
Okay.
I'm 43, so that's been a long time ago. So spirituality was not really a thing at that time. Then at 14, I was like, no, life is not cool. Like, why do we learn this at school? I'm like, why? And nobody answered why. I'm like, I lost my smile at some point because of all of this. And I was like, why are we learning this? And so I went to extreme sports. I did a lot of things to bring adrenaline, to feel something, to live alive. But didn't find it there also. It felt great, but and so at some point I'm like, okay, let's start searching and start searching. So we become like the spiritual seekers or like personal development courses from NLP to shamanism to hypnotism to energy work to name it. But it's like, hey, it works. But why? No idea. Nobody can explain why. For example, family constellation work or any of those kind of things. Is it like feel it? It feels, yeah, it makes sense. But we always work more on like trying to heal something because like we're broken when the thing you were saying at the beginning. So we do a lot of therapies and trying to fix us and but still never answering anything. And at some point, a couple years back, just before starting my PhD, um, successful business, we do functional medicine, so treating the underlying cause of diseases from chronic pain, chronic fatigue, complex autoimmune diseases, over $1 million every year, traveling a lot for business. So very successful on paper, having an
Mm-hmm.
impact because it's the help, bringing people's health back and giving their life back. Still feel empty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's still something wrong with me. Need to find what's wrong. So then I'm like, okay, I talked to my wife. We had this family business together, and we're like, okay, I need to get out of the business, but getting out of this business is hard because then you create your own glass prison, I would call it, and like it's comfortable, but getting out of this is you need to break it to get out. And we don't like to break things. We like to keep things simple and predictable and so on. So I need to get out anyway, so I don't have a choice. So let's find out what would be my next thing. I've got certification in coaching and this and this and that because I was looking always for something, but never find it. So I'm like, why would it be this time different? No idea, but I have a feel that I need to get out of that business because I will still keep having an impact, having a nice life, but not fulfilled. So I search, and I landed on a university that talks about quantum physics for health. So I'm like, yeah, I've been in the health industry for all my life. My dad was a medical doctor all this time. So like the science and the spirituality was already in my world, but I'm like, that's not the thing. So I keep searching. I landed on the PhD I'm doing is like the quantum psychology of things. The program is Quantum Science of Health, Prosperity, and Happiness. So I'm like, that's interesting. Like happiness is something that mostly nobody talks about. It's kind of the positive side of thing. So I'm curious. So I'm having a call with Dr. Amit Goswami, which is a pioneer in that domain. So he's the one in charge of the program. I'm like, makes a lot of sense. So I subscribe January, February 2020. So just before COVID, fly into the retreat. Where's the first event that starts for the PhD? For like 10 days, I understand nothing. I'm like an Indian guy talking about quantum and spirituality intertwined. I'm like, I'll keep persevering and trying to understand all of this because I subscribe to it. All my exams and my tests and everything I do A plus, A plus, A plus. I'm like, I'm at A plus everywhere, but I don't understand anything. Still, this doesn't help. So I tell my wife after my first year, I'm like, I think I should quit. I don't understand anything. And at the same time, they ask for a student to start teaching at the master and PhD level. So I'm like, let's do this because the best way to learn is to teach. And my first feedback I got is finally understand something. So I was like, interesting. I didn't understand anything. And I noticed that a lot of people didn't understand anything. And the way I bring those, people make understand things. And like this is where everything clicked because everything I've done in the past, which we didn't understand why, but it works. Now we have quantum physics that explain what's happening with energy, like the oneness and spirituality, everything like we all believe in oneness, but what does it do and how does it work? I don't know. Let's keep polluting and I think everything is one, but then if I'm polluting, I believe I'm separate from everything. So if I'm judging you, it's because I think I'm separate than you. But it's like those concepts are very mental, very rational, but we don't understand the concept and how we live our life. So I started to understand it that thing is, like Buddhists are saying, the biggest suffering in life is not understanding life by itself, not understanding reality. Even the Hinduists are saying we live in illusion, that they call it Maya in Sanskrit. And it's like if everything about that started to make sense, and now we have understanding why human being are human being and why we're doing what we're doing. And my teacher was saying, happiness is what all spiritual tradition says the goal of life is. In some ways, happiness, joy, the translation is always like not perfect because we don't have the same meaning, but and at the same time, they're all saying that the goal of life is enlightenment. So my teacher says happiness is an expansion of consciousness. So now it's not about fixing yourself. It's understanding life by itself. And if we understand that life is growing and evolving, then the more you evolve, the more all of those problems that we call just disappear because you're vibrating at different frequency now.
Mm-hmm.
So if like now everything made sense, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. And the first time with my teachers, they were like, what's your thesis about? What's your thesis about? I'm like, I don't know. I need to learn the thing. I need to learn the fundamentals. And at some point is when everything started to click. I'm like, okay, we need to build a program where we bring the perspective like everything is matter, everything is dualistic, everything is take time and space, and everything is like Newtonian classical physics, which is everything we learned in life is about those. If we shift our perspective to everything is consciousness, everything is energy, everything is possible, what's going to be impact on how we live our life?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
created 3 months program, which was in during my thesis specifically on that. And like we saw 34% drop in symptoms, general health symptoms, 33% drop in stress, 36% improvement in overall happiness, 12% of people experience mystical experiences and other factors. So I was like, I think we're in the right way. We don't talk about nutrition, we don't talk about stress, we talk about life. And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because if we go back a long, long time ago, we have like the big names in philosophy that we're talking who's the I in I am.
Mm-hmm.
We were thinking about what life was, and now we're like thinking of how can I make money? It's
Right.
like doing more and like, oh, I'll be happy more when I'll do this.
Right.
But if we look in the dictionary, they confuse the word happiness and pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are very different. So if we talk about Buddhism or Hinduism or shamanism or whatever the spiritual tradition, they're all saying, okay, the goal of life is happiness. They're never taught about like getting more stuff or getting a bigger name or a bigger diploma or the bigger title. And no,
Right.
those things are more like fulfilling the ego, not fulfilling our soul.
Mhm. Well, can we dig in there? Yeah,
Yeah,
there's so many
yeah,
juicy pieces we could get into.
yeah,
So let's talk about that because I was thinking about that because it's a new year, right? And a lot of
yeah.
people are thinking about their goals for next year, and
Mhm.
myself included. I'm like, come on, let's go!
Yeah.
I've got, and so I have a nice little, for me, a quantum leap into the new year, what I'm looking to be doing and manifesting and money wise and et cetera. But and it feels fun. It feels there's heaviness, but there's also a feeling of excitement. Like, yeah, it's going to be so fun, and it's going to be challenging too. You already kind of can predict what it's going to be like. And man, I'll probably have a dark night of the soul in there too, and then I'll rise up again. And like, how do I
Mhm.
know? Because I've been through such cycles before too, right? Like, it's not like a new rodeo for me. I've been at this sort of stuff for about 20 years online almost. So. So I know what it's like, when like I've had a number of years where I took a more simplistic approach to my life of, okay, I love doing my podcast. I've got some clients, and like just, you know, um, just appreciate it, like extra, like just appreciate the little things in life. I mean, why do we make big deal of everything? Like, how much I make, like, yeah, totally for it. And it's not part of me is like, doesn't matter, like, right? But it's so I could go with that, right, at one level, but another part of me is like, I know there's more for me to dig into. I know that includes financial, right? So I think it's like we have to be careful, right, when we're talking about these messages, because I don't think you're saying this, but like I think it's like no, the money itself. Going for money, let's say people are thinking about money right now. I'm sure they are, right? If you're going for money and more money, that doesn't mean you're going to be happy just by getting the money, right? We know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because there's people that are just more miserable sometimes as they get more money, as
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah.
you experienced. Maybe I don't know, but you can talk about that in a sec. But then again, it can be a pathway, part of your pathway to fulfillment if you are in a higher vibration and you're expanding your energy at the same time, right? So it's not either or, right? It's about how you're going about these things and the energy in which you're emanating, I think. And I think that's, again, part of the platform is we're here to share about that. So, because I think like if we take the surface of what maybe the people's ears are hearing what you're saying, oh yeah, money, yeah, who cares? And it's like, wait a minute, no, we don't want to go to that level either. So it's a dicey thing sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So an interesting study that showed that the countries with the highest level of happiness are the developed countries. But at the same time, when you look at other study, they're showing that the highest level of life satisfaction is the underdeveloped countries. You're like,
Yeah, interesting.
it's if you're not satisfied in life, how can you be happy? And they're like, for me, they're like intertwined.
Hmm.
And what this is not a scientific research, but if we're having no money, but we're happy in our life, in some ways, where we call it life satisfaction for the underdeveloped countries, then we
Sure.
see what we have in our developed countries, and we think
Mhm.
that this will make me happier.
Right,
Then we compare ourselves.
right, right.
Like we're the best in comparing ourselves in the US and Canada and Europe. Like I want
Ah,
what my neighbor was, and then when I'll get it, I'll be happy.
yeah, 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 yeah.
These are external factors. In
Hmm.
psychology, we call it the hedonic concept. We know that when we get the next thing, the next plateau, we feel great for a while, but then
Right.
it goes back to the same level we were before. And then we want more and we want more. I was reading one paper and they're saying the only thing we can guarantee on happiness is the pursuit of it because they
Hmm.
call it pleasure in reality, which is really pleasure, not happiness, because every time you experience pleasure, the
Hmm.
hormone rush, feel great, but then
Hmm.
it goes back to normal. When
Hmm.
you work from the inside, raising consciousness is something subtle. So that's why we
Hmm.
don't crave like happiness, even if we're looking for it, because then it's not intense.
Hmm.
So if you go to meditate, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling better. But then
Right.
I have the choice between like a TV show, which is like zero effort, high dopamine, and then you're like, oh, that's amazing. So you have the choices like zero effort, and high intense rush versus like more effort, less reward, which is intense and instantly. So you're like, yeah, well, let's go to what's
Just the easier
the
choice is
easiest
just turn on
choice. That's
TV.
the thing. So the easiest choice, we call it happiness. And that's when what you were saying, like we ask how your life is going. It's amazing. And then you're like, how's your couple's doing? Couple is not too good. And how's your job? Yeah, that's too. And so we have the impression that our life is good because when it doesn't go well, we just put some pleasure over it and life looks great.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
some point, cancer comes in, disease comes in, something dramatic comes in, and you're like, okay, so maybe I didn't have much sense or purpose in my life and I'm realizing it. But
Mm-hmm.
before, in the moment, just enjoying the time and da da da, but
Mm-hmm.
evolution, like all spiritual tradition, doesn't say like living
Hmm.
in abundance of things and but
Right.
abundance doesn't make us
Right.
unhappy. It could, because every time you lose something, you'll feel unhappy most of the
Mm-hmm.
time. That's why Buddhists, if we're talking okay, again from Buddhism, attachment is one of the biggest suffering in life. So we
Hmm.
attach to stuff, but we attach to how we look, how people perceive us, and we're attached to so many different things. We attach to our goals, of our 2026 goals. You're like, oh, this is my goal. Yeah, then I'm getting scared of like, what if I'm not making it? What's going to happen? And then like we put so much judgments and everything about those things, and you're like, why we're suffering?
Hmm.
When I
Right.
do goal settings, and that's one thing when people start my programs, okay, let's set the quantum intention. I call it the quantum intention, or we call it like the GFK intention of like we're going to the moon.
Hmm.
Everybody was freaking out, like, how is it possible? It's impossible. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Well, he was so confident that we could make it, but he didn't know how. That's
Hmm.
how like miracles, synchronicity, like magical things can happen. And this is
Right.
where the quantum realm become.
Hmm.
So if you're like, okay, I'm gonna put a goals based on my experience of what I know from the past, and then I know what the steps is, there's nothing amazing on that. We're still in the Newtonian world. Everything is cause and effect, demand time, effort.
Hmm.
We'll change the world
Just work
harder.
harder. Just work
Yeah,
harder.
just work harder. That's exactly the thing I'm writing as a scientific paper as for entrepreneurs. It's not about harder.
Hmm.
So it's not about the next tools you'll be using and the next strategy or the next thing or he's who's the identity, who's the observer. The observer in quantum physics says that the one observer is the one creating reality. So if the observer is using different tools, it's the same reality, but you're just working harder. But if we change your identity level, we're transmuting who you are, you're going to create a different future.
Right.
And things that cannot be predicted based on what we know can now become happening because everything is possible in quantum physics. That's kind of a synonym of quantum physics is the physics of possibility.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Right.
Because
That's
everything is possible.
where all the fun manifestations happen, right? I was just thinking of this and that happened and things
Mhm.
like all kinds of things, right?
It's
Like,
not just the magical thinking or the wishful thinking. Is there's a lot of how can I say it? There's a lot of misinformation,
mm,
and because manifestation is relating to money, so I
hmm,
could launch tomorrow a manifestation course, and I get a lot of people from it, but it's full of paradoxes because most of the time those courses are based on a dualistic perspective.
mm,
They don't talk about oneness. So if we believe that everything is one, like spiritual tradition says or quantum physics shows now,
hmm,
then if we're talking about manifestation, we need to align by the laws of oneness.
hmm, hmm.
So
So let's talk about that. What does
yeah,
that mean? The because it's funny. I could play Napoleon Hill or people like that. They'll say the
yeah,
law of focus or the law of whatever. Like they've got
yeah,
a law of everybody talks about these law. And I think people love the law.
yeah,
I could say it's the law of lunch. It's the law of dinner. Like I feel we put law in front of a lot of things these days.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
so if we talk about the law of oneness, like that idea, like
Yeah.
what does that really mean, though?
Okay, so if we look based on the research, based on quantum physics, it shows that we have the possibility of being one with everything. We're not one with everything because of what we believe, our traumas, our conditioning, and blah, 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 blah. But we have the possibility of being one. The possibility is there. There's different studies like one of the first studies in quantum physics with two electrons, we connect them to each other, the quantum entanglement, the non-locality. So when we connect them, even if we separate them at the other side of the world, whatever I do to one, the other one react instantly, automatically. So like space-time does not exist in that space, in that reality. We have the same study that's done to human being, so we see similar concept. If we are connecting, for example, in a meditation, I do something to you, my brain can react exactly at the same time and no difference. So both most of the time they're going to say it only works in the electrons and protons, even for computers, works on quantum physics principles, but not for human behavior. But we have so many studies now that show the opposite, but it's not really accepted in that space because then you become unlimited power.
Yeah.
So unlimited power for each human being is not very good for economy in some ways. But
Mm,
even that's the
interesting.
best way because the best way is money is energy. So the more I keep it, the less
Mm-hmm.
it flows and the less it
Hmm.
grows. So the more we exchange, the more we work with money, the
Yes.
more there's
More
unlimited
prosperity,
amount
right?
of money.
Yeah.
The
Right.
amount is unlimited.
Right.
But the moment we stay to it, we block the flow of energy in that
Hmm.
space.
Right.
So then we realized, okay, so if I'm doing something to you, then I'm doing something to me. So if we're all interconnected.
Hmm.
So how do I live my life for my own self? So I'm gonna compete against Danielle to get more of what I want. For what? For my
Hmm.
own sake? For my lack of deepness or my lack of inner self or feeling empty? So we go in competition. When we go in competition, it's me against you. So we go back to this duality. The
Mhm.
moment you realize that every time that human being experience oneness, longevity and happiness raise. Example, live in nature versus living in something that human created. Longevity improve in nature. Just reading in nature, just reading about nature improve longevity. People that are in a couple, longevity is way higher, diseases drops, versus people that are separate, that are widows, that never get married, and so on. Disease and longevity drop, but disease go up and longevity goes down.
On average, right?
Yeah,
Everything that's what we're talking about on
yeah.
average. Yeah.
There's a study. It was like 282,000 people participating on it. So that's
Mhm.
a huge
Big
study. So it's
study. Yeah.
not like
Massive study. Yeah.
so it's not 100%, but that's the trend.
Right. Right.
So every time you have those concepts, you're like, okay, so if oneness is not a thing, so why all the studies that shows is about connection?
Hmm.
Like I could talk about different studies still on the same concept. So you're like, okay, so if we're about oneness, then what I'm doing is that about raising consciousness of only me or everybody? So what are you doing in life is about, so if we know that life is about raising consciousness at the individual level and at the community level, at the herd level, then should I align with that movement? Or if I'm going for myself, then we're going back to the ego, about the duality. It's about me, me, me. And we do a lot of things like this. So there's a
Hmm.
new job opening at the office. I don't talk to my staff and my friends about it because I know if my friend knows about it, might get it. So I'm trying to compete and get the job for what? To get more money, to get more recognition, to get something
Good
external.
for me. It'd be good for me is
Yeah, yeah, it would be good for me. So that's why I didn't talk about it because I felt that it's gonna help me and
Mhm.
like so the best person to get that job is the best person to get that job.
Mhm.
Why was it would be you? Like
Mhm.
because you really want that recognition, maybe. I don't know, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but it's like if we want the best manager, I'm like you're not the best, but you want the title, the money, and so we act a lot like this, and then we were wondering why we suffer so much.
Right. I mean, that's the conditioning, right? You
Yeah.
got to make something of yourself, young man, like, right, or
Yeah.
whoever, what young woman or whatever. But I'm just saying, that whole
Yeah. Yeah.
thing, like, make something of yourself, be a man,
Yeah. Yeah.
do
Go
the
to
thing.
school. Yeah, the thing is, go to school, get a good diploma, to get a good job, to get a good wife, to get a good house, to like for what?
Hmm.
Like there's no end to it. And when we look at people that close to dying, they're at the deathbed vision at the closest, they're like
Right.
they don't talk about the stuff they didn't get or the stuff
Right.
they got, and they're talking about connection. They're going back to those conversation.
Right.
I didn't apologize to my wife. I didn't say they're like
Right.
these
Right.
are the
Right.
things that are
Right.
discussing, but during our life,
I didn't make another $10 million. I'm really upset, right? Not too many are going to say
yeah,
that. I bet there are a couple.
yeah, maybe,
There's always
yeah.
an
But
exception,
it's
but not the rule.
that's not the rule. That's the thing.
Right.
So you're like wondering, okay, so why are we living this way when
Yeah.
we know that at the end, this is not what we focus on?
Right.
So if we look at children, I've got a 2 years old daughter. She's exploring the world. She's failing and she's standing up. She's learning. She's exploring, and like she
Hmm.
doesn't really care about what other people thinks of her. But
Hmm.
when we become adult, oh, I cannot fail.
Hmm.
Okay, what's gonna look people? So I need to dress in a certain way, or this and that, and my hair. Are they? Do I have a little thing? And then when we get older and older, we become like children again. Like if you get elders, like they can just walk naked in the street, they don't
Right.
care.
I don't care.
Like there's a lot
Right.
of things like this. Is like my grandma was in an elderly home and she didn't care. They were like, okay, you should watch your. They were saying this to my dad, your mom, because she sometimes go out naked in the hallway, and it's like,
Right.
who cares? But
Yeah.
for us, like we're adults, it's like things needs to be a certain way, and
Right. Right.
why?
Right.
Why?
I think it is interesting. I mean, you know the compelling things you're saying. I mean, I think it's you know again I love your mind because you're very you know you're analytical and all that stuff. So breaking all this stuff down and we think about people like they say often here in America we were told the Amish, it's the Amish. They're the happiest, and they're
Mhm.
close to the earth, and all the different reasons why. No technologies, like
Yeah.
all the reasons they give. You know, they have strong faith, all the things that would make them happy, and but you also reference like yeah, people are undeveloped countries and whatnot that maybe have but have the food, the essential. People that have no don't have the essentials don't even know what happiness is. They have no clue what that even means. Like
Yeah.
so, but if they have sustenance, right, and they don't have much, they you know, many of them are happy, but I have met plenty miserable people out in the streets that have food and everything, but they're miserable. They're very
Mhm.
unhappy. They're like they're the same as everybody else in a sense. They're like, I want improved condition. I want better things for my life.
Mhm.
Even people in other countries, not just
Yeah.
here in the
Yeah.
U.S.
Yeah.
So it does exist, you know, but there are many counter examples where people are in these tribes and whatnot, certain cultures, right, where they live in close to the earth, and that's abundance. That's the abundant energy they're getting. It's what I found. Like I
Mm.
think we research the more. So the part about nature is fascinating to me because I think you're right. The closer you're living to the earth and in community and loving each other, that
Mm.
is definitely going to do huge wonders for your sense of happiness. Absolutely. And it will transcend the sense
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like any idea of status and all this other stuff, it will help to transcend those things. So that makes sense to me in that
Yeah.
regard for sure.
Yeah. So if we look, for example, people that living in the countryside and so on, they're like, okay, I need to move to the city to make more money and to get more
Mhm.
opportunities. But we know when you move to cities, longevity goes down and happiness goes down. But we're
Yeah,
still doing it because we think we're gonna get more.
right, right.
So it's funny because I was talking to someone just earlier today, and he was like, "I'm like so stressed at work. I've got anxiety and like I'm getting less vitality. I'm getting tired even more." I'm
Mm.
like, "Okay, you can do this. Oh yeah, but it's gonna demand too much. Like 20 minutes a day." They're like, "Nah." So I'll check in 3 months. And he's been living like this for a long time. So that's why we had the call today about this. So it's like the person wants something, but it's better to stay in that suffering, but
Hmm.
it's comfortable, it's predictable, is like
Yeah.
instead of like maybe I'm gonna challenge myself a little bit more.
Hmm.
So I was talking to somebody that's bring people jump in parachute. And he was saying like when you meet people at the store at the bottom, like everybody's excited, like we're going skydiving, like yeah.
Right,
And the plane, they open the door and like half the people are like freaking out. Now I don't want to do it anymore.
right,
Why? They push them out.
right.
So they are scared of the uncertainty. They're scared of like what's gonna happen. And like even if we know that the security is super high, the chance of dying is like infinity small. Still, now we don't know what's gonna happen. It's the first time I have this kind of win, and like the feeling. But in the store 5 minutes ago, they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a party, yeah, yeah." So
Yeah.
it's how do you face uncertainty in life? Uncertainty is one of the concept, the main foundation concept in quantum physics. There's nothing that has a certain position or a certain speed,
Mhm.
or like we cannot predict anything, the
Mhm.
exact thing like we would do in Newton in physics or in the big stuff. But like we don't want to live our life this way.
Mhm.
So there's a study that I felt very interesting. So they give you two choice. The first choice is 50% of chance getting the electroshock. So something very
Mhm.
painful.
Yeah.
The other option is 100%. So you're 100% getting the shock.
Hmm.
So what do you choose? If I'm asking you, Danielle, what do you choose? 50% or 100%?
Um, you know, because I feel like it's a trick, I'd probably say, give me the 100%. Like I'd be that crazy person. I'm like, give me
Yeah.
100%. Because
Like everybody gonna
I'll
tell
learn to
you.
transcend the pain.
Yeah. So everybody's telling you that you're crazy. You got better
Right,
chance of
right,
not
right,
getting it at 50%.
right, right.
So, but usually we would choose the 50%. That's kind of
Right.
the
Right.
normal
For sure.
reality. So
Sure.
like I'm not stupid. I won't like take the shot right
Right.
away.
Right.
But at the moment you choose 50%, you're in the uncertain world and your body's freaking out. So the
Right.
neurological system is super activated. It's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? So your system prefer the 100% getting the pain right away than living something that he doesn't know is going to happen. That's
Right.
why we would keep the same job, the same husband, and the same spouse, and the same thing over and over again. Even if we're like doesn't like it,
Yeah.
it's less dangerous, bottom line.
Yeah, I'm like, give me 100%. I don't want to be halfway with anything. Like kind of feeling about that choice, I'm like, it sounds like a commitment. If it's commitment, I'm in 100%. It's probably a sense of like wanting to control too. Like you're not gonna just mess with me whenever you want to. I'll take it all the way then. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it
So do
is
you want
it
to
is an interesting
transform?
thing.
Yes. But what do I lose if I transform? I don't know. So maybe I'll maybe see you next month. So next
Hmm.
month's never come.
Hmm.
Or we have people that kind of become addicted in some ways to like different online course for spirituality or raising consciousness or retreats, but they stay very passive. So that's why when you do one course, you stay very superficial. You don't go deep. So there's not too much danger. And just
Right.
buying the course and not doing it, it's even easier.
Right. I'm doing something. See, I got this course, right? Right.
So there's a stats that shows that like a simple course online where there's like no coaching, nothing outside, 3% of people finish the course.
Right. Right.
So, but I bought course. I've got like things,
Got
books, and
endless downloads on my computer of courses. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, I did the
absolutely.
meditation once. It didn't work.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so how
Yeah.
strongly do you want transformation? How strongly do you want to create crazy goals? But for
Mm-hmm.
this is, for example,
Mm-hmm.
the quantum intention I was mentioning. Like you just
Yes.
put things that does not make sense,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then you just trust the process. You trust yourself that being able to generate that.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get it, who cares? For example, I prefer like shooting for the sun
Mm-hmm.
and finishing on Mars than
Mm-hmm.
shooting for the moon and finishing on the cloud.
Right.
So we all know this. We all agree on this.
Right.
But when we do goal settings, we still use it in a smart way, like specific,
Right.
measurable, attainable, realistic
Right. Right. Right.
time.
Right.
Yeah, you'll get the same thing that you can predict. And then we
Mm-hmm.
say it's only the crazy people that change the world. Yeah, because they think in a way that doesn't make sense.
Right. Right.
So you want to live a life that's crazy? I think so. That's why
Mm.
you call it the super rock star or the
Right.
spiritual rock star.
Spiritual rock star. Yeah.
Like it's rock star doesn't think in the normal way.
Right. Right.
But we need to like, oh, your parents, oh yeah, no, no, you cannot think of that. No, no, you need to be like everybody else. We
Mm.
need to be like everybody else. Because if
Mm-hmm.
we go back in time when we were not like everybody else, we might be kicked out of the community
Mm-hmm.
and living alone as a human being in the wild, chance of survival was almost zero. But
Right.
now, chance of survival is almost 100% for developed countries.
Right, that's what I say. Like when people are worried about taking chances, I says, You live in America, right? Yeah, it says you're gonna be fine. Like no matter what you do, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You're not gonna starve. You're not gonna have nowhere to sleep. The people you see on the streets mostly are there because they've chosen to go there because they feel safer on the streets. You could find maybe counter examples, but usually that's what
Yeah.
they'll tell you.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the shelter. They steal my stuff or whatever. All those kind of
Yeah.
things. So yeah, if we all know have family members, they would take you in. I always go through those scenarios with
Yeah.
people because yeah, mostly the things I've done by even going into business, right, leaving the out,
Mhm.
the system, so to speak,
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
a really maverick move, right? I mean, like how you think you could, much less your wife doesn't make any money. How are you going to do that? And it's like, well, how am I going to do it? Because I just decided to do it.
Yeah.
And
That's the
so,
thing.
yeah, so that's it's that rebel. It's like, yeah, yeah, and I know how this works. I decide and it happens. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
so. That's what's interesting with the way you're teaching this, right? I mean, you talk about quantum transmutation and all this stuff, and I love that because there's even more books, right? 10x is easier than 2x, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Another proof of
right,
that. Like,
right.
why would that be?
Yeah, it's hard. You would think it'd be harder to go bigger, but when you're actually expanding, when you really expand and get out of the tight butt energy, you're right. There's more that's possible because the dreams and the visions that come to me, there's no way I can straight line it. Like, okay, I'll just do X, Y, Z, and it'll add up to that. Like, there's
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
it's like it's a field I have to live from, and yes, I get bits of the pieces of the puzzle in my case, but I have no idea what the whole thing is going to look like. I have no idea how it's all going to come together. But
Mhm.
I just get a sense, well, maybe it's sort of like it's going in this direction, but I don't really know. I have no clue, right? And you just kind of, follow it as it shows up, right? And that's that going with your intuition, they say, and stuff, but you still have an intention. You still have a vision. I think some
Yeah.
people are aimless with their intuition. I don't know. I got the feeling like get a Starbucks, or whatever. Sometimes it's just BS, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
just same old crap, just flowing with the nonsense of just what your cravings are and whatnot, right? But yeah, we have to use intentionality and everything. And I think like that's what I'm trying to say is like we're not all here trying to be, I don't think, like all trying to be like Aboriginal people, right? Oh, they're happier. Let's just do what they're doing and let's all do that. No, I mean, there's a reason why we want to, oh, I want to be bigger or better or whatever. Like, I think there's something to that to pay attention to as well. But if you approach it in the wrong way, like I was saying earlier, will create a lot of unnecessary suffering. That's the key for me always. Am I creating a lot of unnecessary suffering? That I don't want it. I want to
Mhm.
eliminate more of that, right? So that's how I look at it. I don't know how you do look at it, but
Yeah. So you brought the Amish earlier. So that's an interesting thing because they like have not the disease that most people have.
right,
Like they live a simple life. We can
right,
say they work hard because they're working on a field and something like this. And
sure,
then like a lot of people say, I work hard. I would never work in the field, but I work like it's.
hmm,
But when you look at them, they live a peaceful,
yes,
simple life.
right,
Are they happy? We can say they are happy, but are
hmm,
they evolving? That's the thing I cannot really say in that
yeah,
space. Because
hmm,
when you're too much in like simple,
hmm,
easy,
hmm,
even I would say now to in today's life, I believe that the Buddhists are not necessarily, or the Hinduists, or people living in monasteries are
hmm,
not necessarily evolving as others that at the same level. Because
hmm,
everything is simple.
hmm,
It's funny because they're saying they're living and it's through suffering that you grow. That's what Buddhists are saying. But they're not living in much suffering and when they're in the monastery. Like I've lived in the monastery for some times and I've did interviews with like high level monks and Rinpoche and those kind of things. And like you go to your hall meditating, you would do some rice things and decoration, and then you destroy it. It's like living in as an entrepreneur for
hmm,
me might be a better way to grow because you're always challenged.
right,
Like living in a materialistic world might bring you even more opportunity for growth because there's like so much thing you can be attached to. So you need to learn to live in that world while growing. So it's I feel that like I give the example. So to get I think it's a doctorate in Buddhism, like you live 3 years, 3 months, 3 days in a cave, like fully disconnected from everything. You take that person at the end and you ship into Times Square. How's the person reacting? Now you need to survive. You need to food, video.
right,
I'm sure they're gonna freak out. Maybe not, but I'm like, it's gonna be chaos around them.
right,
So they might just sit down and just meditate, but then they need to
hmm,
find work. They need to find something.
hmm,
So I would say the simplest life, this, in my perspective, is not the one that will make you to grow the most.
hmm, hmm,
Might be
yeah, that,
easy, but
yeah, right. So that's what I mean. I think we have a endless variety of different people living different lives because
yeah.
the way I look at it is we're looking for all these different experiences. Like, isn't this crazy? Look at what situation I'm in, and like as infinite one beings, like it doesn't really matter in a sense to you the way you're feeling it does, but in the infinite sense, it's just another trip. It's just like, whoa, look at this crazy scenario. So like, other people are like, yeah, I've had lifetimes of that. I'm just out here, or out working the land. I'm happy. I'm good. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. And then the new trend we see in the spiritual world right now, it's a lot of course on like parapsychology, moving object at a distance, like doing things blindfoldly and those kind of things. It's amazing to see the possibility of human being. Like you can teach a kid to read a book blindfoldly, like we would do with our open eyes, but they're blindfold and they read the books fully.
Right.
But would that make them happier, having those
Right.
abilities? Like
Right.
they see that life is more possible and those kind of things, but it's like, would it change something? It looks cool. I'm like a Avenger now or something, a superhero. I've got those things, but and then what?
Doesn't necessarily make you happier.
That's
That's
the
for
thing.
sure.
So
Yeah.
we're the pursuit of something
Hmm.
that will make us happier.
Hmm.
Instead of like, okay, what's life? How can I evolve in life? We're
Hmm.
pursuing so many different things. There's nothing wrong in those pursuits.
Hmm.
But can you go inside you
Hmm.
and dealing with challenges and like being, who cares? So
Hmm.
there's an interesting stats that I came out from my thesis. I was asking at the end of the program, did you experience any very stressful event like loss of
Hmm.
job, divorce, somebody close dying, or like big disease, etc. So these things usually bring more sadness, more unhappiness, more stress, and so on.
Right.
People that said no, we're talking an average of 30% improvement in overall happiness. People that said yes, we're talking about 80%,
Mm.
which is a
Wow.
paradox
Yeah.
based on what we know. But if
Hmm.
you understand that life's about growth and
Hmm.
you're the creator of your reality, so quantum physics reality, quantum physics terms, and so on,
Hmm.
then you're the one creating all of this for your own growth. So you
Right.
can bring gratitude, whatever happened in your life, and you can just grow out of it.
Right.
They're like, oh, it's his fault. And like, oh, when you do this, you know you're in judgment, you know it's bring you unhappiness. And we know it create disease. All the stats are there, epigenetics and so on, and neurochemistry, and like we all know this.
Hmm.
So why we just bring gratitude? We know gratitude make a huge difference. So when something happened like this, you're like, oh. But to be able to do this, we all know this, and we have all the information to be happy and to be healthy, and we have the highest level of comfort as ever, and like the highest accessibility in things in the US. You order something on Amazon, you can receive it the same day,
Hmm.
but we're sicker and unhappier than ever.
Hmm.
So there's
Right.
something we don't understand. And I go back to what life is. If we start understanding what life is, understanding what reality works, we're going back to one of the first thing I was saying, like Buddhists are saying, the number one suffering in life is not understanding reality and life itself.
Hmm.
So if we start living in the world we live in, the 3D realm, and understanding that we're living in this illusion and that the goal of life is raising consciousness, raising energy, because everything is consciousness or energy, depending on playing with terms, but they're saying the same ways in some way.
Hmm.
Then can I experience and live my life very differently
Hmm.
as an everyday person or as an entrepreneur or whatever it is, and I can manifest a very different life, not just external, but internal also, because
Right.
there's no difference.
Right.
So reality is just an impression of who you are. So we can meet the same person and we're like, oh, he's always judging, he's always like this. And you say, no, the person's always happy. I'm sure
Mm-mm.
you met somebody that like you see the person very differently.
Oh yeah, yeah, happens all the time, right? It's these
So
people in
why is
different
that?
ways, and sometimes you see them similar, right? I see that too, and that's
Yeah.
true too. But yeah, it
Well, we
totally.
see this
I mean, the
because
the biggest thing I always say is like someone evokes reaction by how they're interacting with you. You're all like, they're this, they're that. They say the same exact thing to someone else, right? Like it does nothing.
yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, whatever, okay, yeah. And so yeah, it's obviously has to do with your own consciousness and what's
Yeah, we
it's
create our reality. So if I see somebody's always judging, am I always judging?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
we need to see
right,
this Like
The
Jesus was
mirror,
telling
the whole
this.
mirror thing,
Yeah,
right? Like whatever it is you're seeing out there is really just another reflection of you.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's about how can I evolve through towards seeing. So there's a phrase I would say. So the observer is fact is the one creating reality. But I kind of rephrase it that when you create reality, when you observe it, you realize who you are.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but if you're not conscious, then you're like always judging outside. You're like, oh, this is that and that. It never worked for me. It's worked for him all the time. And like, we're
Yeah,
just
who'd
in the
you pay
brain.
off, Philippe? Come on now, right?
Yeah.
All those kind of ideas. Yeah. Well, whatever. Maybe
So,
this, maybe that. Yeah, all the ideas come
so
in.
you have the
So,
power to create everything, and that's the observer's effect in quantum physics. So if you have this power, why are you not getting the life you want?
right,
Like you're getting the life that you need to evolve because the goal is evolution.
right.
So, but and then accept what you're creating.
I found that the most powerful manifestation for me is when I'm not trying to manifest and I just simply am observing what naturally is spontaneously happening. In other words, I'll spontaneously have a desire and it'll just
Yeah.
manifest. I mean, I guess there's a guy named Deepak Chopra that had a book titled that, but yeah, I mean, but I've noticed that like I always say restaurants are my big haven for manifestation because I just do. I naturally I'll have a desire. Oh, I want this. I won't even put it in the order, but like they just give it to me anyway because I'm just in that quantum realm when
Yeah.
I'm at restaurants often, not always, but like often that just happens a lot.
Yeah.
Unusual amount. It's like, oh, okay, we can't put the coupon code through. We're going to give you a free meal. But I had just been thinking, why don't you just give it to me for free? Like, so did
Mhm.
I create it? Is it just in the
Yeah.
field and I just was open to it, right? Like, it's all very interesting to
Yeah.
unpack, isn't it?
That's correct. That's correct. But it's
Yeah.
interesting because when we go to the double slit experiment, like when we throw an electron in space,
Mhm.
the electron is a wave of possibly when we don't look at it, and when we look at it, it's become the matter. So if you focus on something all the time, there's no more possibility. It's already matter. So you need to balance the balance between like doing and being, the intention and letting go. I need to find
Right.
this balance between those two things. But if you're like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, there's
Hmm.
no space for it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's why in manifestation, like in the film, the movie The Secret, there's a lot of things I won't agree with, even if it's like it was a great beginning for that kind of concept. But like if you want this specific house, but
Hmm.
then there's a new house that you would love to, you're not open to it because you're only fixing on one thing.
Right.
So getting too specific and getting too wide can be kind of tricky. You need to find this
Yeah.
balance. It's
Right.
like too much water, you would die, and not enough water, you would die. So you need to find this perfect balance in that
Yeah.
sense.
Exactly. I was just talking to my client about. I says you have to have a focused, disciplined structure, but you got to be willing to flow with spontaneity too. You don't need to be able to throw all that out the window at any moment if that's what you really are, sensing, observing, knowing. Like this is the direction for me to take with something. And no matter how many plans I come up with for the new year, I know for 100% ain't going to happen the way I draw it out. Right? It's not like a robotic
Mhm.
thing, but I do know that it's starting to, focus me in a direction, right? At a minimum. And so as long as I continue to focus in that direction, then they'll take me towards what I'm truly desiring, as long as I let go enough and continue to give it attention. Your life is as though you give your attention to. There's no question about that with the
Yeah,
observer
yeah.
effect. It is as you're giving your attention, 100%, because I do this thing called the passion test with people. Every time we rate their passions, like where they're at with them, like, so rate it. Okay, and then which one are you giving the most attention to? Well, the higher score is always the one they're giving the most attention to. 100%
Yeah,
correspondence. So there's
yeah,
no doubt about it.
yeah. And
So it's
most of the
really,
time, even if it's conscious or unconscious, it doesn't
yeah,
matter. So that's
yeah.
the
But
thing
even in
is
their own conscious awareness, they're like, yeah, I'm giving that
that's
one more
correct.
attention. But
Yeah.
yeah, I brought it to conscious awareness, right? Maybe they didn't realize it, but often they do. Like, it's just like, why, I think the thing that mucks up manifestation for people, not again that it always matters, right? Like, the happiest people probably could care less about manifestation most of the time, so to speak. But usually, I mean, it's because they're repetitively having more thoughts about it not happening than happening, right? Like, I gotta have it. Oh my God. And it's not, I'm afraid it's not going to happen. Really, they're having thoughts that it's not going to happen, even though
That's
they say
correct.
they're constantly affirming it, right? They're
Yeah.
de-affirming it even more.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's very scientific. Like, if we were really to measure it, like, that's what you find. It's not like by fluke or chance. It's very,
That's
in that regard, I think it's very exact from my experiments with myself and others.
yeah, yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Philip, I'm sorry we are getting a
Yeah,
bit deep in
yeah.
the show. We should have booked 2 hours. This is great. I love talking
We
with
can
you.
schedule another one if you want. I'm always
Do another
open
one at some
to.
point for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'd love for you to share with people. I know you have your book and a
Yeah,
bunch
my
of things for people to check out. Go ahead and share. Yes.
here. Zoom is focusing for me, and it's
Yes, it
amazing.
is. It is. A little bit
So
there, yeah.
rethinking happiness, it's maybe switch upside down right now, left to right, whatever it is. So it's an international bestseller as of now. It's came out like a month and a half ago, but it's French, which is the little one there. It's been out
Mm-hmm.
for a year, also international bestseller. So we need to rethink how we see life. We need to see things very differently. And the way I teach and the way my book is designed is like we need to bring like spirituality, which is the right brain. Even if we're fully right brain in some ways, like we're like, it makes sense. But then our left brain is like, huh, doesn't make sense. We cannot
Mm-hmm.
understand this.
Right.
So if
Mm-hmm.
those two brains are not in coherence, then the reptilian brain is like, nope, I want to survive until you get the two of you agreeing. I don't want to change. That's why there's such a lot of difficulty in transformation today because our school system destroyed our right brain, even if we're like fully spiritual, which is right brain, but the left brain is so strong that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to change. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to understand things differently. We need to, and now with quantum physics, we have this beautiful capacity of like bringing the gap between those two things. They're saying the same way in different words, different perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty. So rethinking happiness is about this. I'm launching a lot of different courses in English in January. Technically, they're in French since a while, and they're very successful, and people are having great transformation. But now I'm launching everything in the English side, and yeah, so it's all about quantum transformation using the science and the spirituality because we need to merge those things, left brain, right brain. There's nothing better than this, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Well, I
Yeah.
love, I mean, you're definitely somebody I could talk with for endless hours on all these things. Breaking everything down, it's a lot of fun, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I appreciate what you're doing and I love what you shared today. And so guys, Rethinking Happiness is the book title. We'll put the in the show notes a link to it. And so yeah, so you'll have that and whatever other links we might pop down there for you to check out with Philippe's work. So Philippe, we are at the time of the show where we're going to do a little energy scanning. So you ready for a couple of downloads?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. All right, let's see what fun things. I never know what's going to come through, but guys, listen in double now because honestly, one of these downloads could be something you need to hear as well. Often it can be. Okay, one moment, please. Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I just look at the energy, like the energy, I look at chakras and everything, and I just get, yeah, you do. You have a great ability to let the energy flow into you. Even though you got such a strong brain, right? Or me too. I've got that strong mental energy. So that's
Hmm.
very cool. But it's interesting because and I heard a quick study. So like you quickly, absorb material, energy, all kinds of things. So I just see a quickness to it. And so I did see a lot of energy there that you already pretty much referenced, but like you'll take it all in and you literally keep saying like at some part of your brain or whatever, the conscious says, yeah, but so what? Yeah. I think that's so fun. It's like, okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so what? But and so
yeah,
I think that's fun, but you've got that serious like I think it's from the doctor lineage or whatever, but it's got that serious like like analyze this thing and just see what's going on here. And so I see that like they're in your brain or something, I don't know how to describe it, but and then as far as like with the smile you had on your face, and yeah, I had some of that too. A lot of us did as kids, right? Where just like this is crazy, having fun. Then somebody like. Then all of a sudden, like the heaviness of like the
Mhm.
adult world almost seems like, come on, clean your room, whatever, whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
life should be funner. Why do you care so much about my room? And yeah, whatever, right? But I see like that silly, fun child energy that you have, and I think like you represent like the energy I see in you represents so many, and you're looking to continue to evolve with all this, right? And it's like it's the schism of like, no, it's the wild, crazy child. We're quantum children, and we do all create all kinds of things. And then another part is like, are you serious about that? Let's see, like you're scientifically analyzing at the same time. So it's really a fun combo, a combo
Yeah.
pack, in that sense. So yeah, I just wanted to. That's it. Those are my downloads. I just wanted to share like what a lot of people are probably already noticing about you, but like I just see that so strongly. I just wanted to share that little bit of information there. So
It's not I'm winning like 10 millions tomorrow. No, that's not the download you got.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, yeah, but you see, you'd be like, yeah, everything's possible, and you'll have
Yeah.
magical thing. But somebody comes in and says, Philippe, it doesn't really work that way, and you're like, hmm. Maybe there is something else, right? Like so many of us are, hmm, I don't know. Maybe you're right about that. I don't know though, like
But I've got a big tendency of like people are saying something, I'm like, yeah, let's try it anyway.
right, right,
For
right.
me,
There you go.
because the intuition is there.
Right,
Like when
right,
you have an
right,
intuition,
right,
it's like Einstein when he came out with E equal MC2, the relativity. He was like not writing on the board trying to figure it out. It just came like this as an
right.
intuition.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
everybody was asking him, why do you know? I know. Like
I
it
just
was
know.
just proving it
Yeah.
didn't make sense.
Right,
So a lot of
right,
time intuition doesn't make sense, but it feels right,
right.
but you cannot explain it.
Even with the Newtonian stuff, right? Like, I mean, like, I was just told by my daughter because she's into physics. She says he did like most all of the work by the time he was in his 20s. Like, why didn't he keep going? I said, well, he probably did other things. I know he did a lot of stuff, and then she
Yeah.
was reading about it, and it's like, yeah, for him too. The idea this apple dropped on his head. I don't even know if that's true, but like, like it just. But the point is, it just occurred in an instant,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
many of the big things, the TV and this and that and the other thing. Many of them did come in flashes, and then of course we've seen other examples. The light bulb, 10,000, tries or
Mhm.
whatever until
Yeah.
we get
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
successful model of it. But so yeah, but a lot of times it's just like that quantum, just like just you're open
Mhm.
enough, you're the one to receive it, I guess, and
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
then it's whoever actually does it, right? Usually it's like how many people all get it at the same time, and that's whoever like actually implements is the one that gets the credit.
Look, we have planes from the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
They didn't know anything about those kind of things. And
Right.
they are like you have the engineer, or I don't know what were they're titled back then, but they knew everything that was possible. But they were like, no, we're gonna make it happen. And they were the first one to fly a plane. And they didn't have any knowledge about those kind of things.
Right.
Well, how was it possible? Like
Right.
knowledge doesn't make intuition better. Usually it blocks it. Because when you
Yeah.
get the intuition, then you have like the brain that's like, oh no, this doesn't make sense. We cannot do it this way. And
Right.
then you say,
Right.
no, I cannot do this. Why?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Be
Exactly.
crazy. Be like a child. Like who cares? Life, like jump and
Well,
like
you definitely have that crazy wild child of the quantum in you. So
yeah, that's
congrats
how
on
we
that. But
transform the world
yeah.
and craziness. And having
Yeah.
fun and just enjoying and who cares? And
Right.
like
Right.
somebody says, no, I don't want to do your program. Okay. I don't care.
I tell people, I know
It's
it
your
says it
thing.
sounds morbid. Sometimes I tell people you're gonna die like tomorrow before you know it. Like it'll seem like that. I'll be like, it's all over already. Like you
Yeah.
may as well have a good time in the meantime, doing what it is that you're being called to do and
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. That's
So yeah.
correct. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
All right. So, guys, if you want to check me out, go to yoursacredpurpose.com. I would suggest you get the free meditate, make money meditation because again, this whole idea that there's a paradox and all this stuff, like, we need to keep moving through that too, quantumly. So, but yeah, as you meditate and you ask your guidance, you'll get your downloads. And so I have a guided meditation for you at that. And it creates that ability to get in that quantum and start to realize those higher possibilities. So get that free Meditate, Make Money meditation at yoursacredpurpose.com. All right, Philippe. Well, this is fantastic. Like I said, I really deeply enjoyed our time together today, and thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you to our audience. Like I always say, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till the next time. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.